Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're listening to another edition of the Narrator Podcast. And I'm your host, Halsey Allen. Narrator Podcast is the home of original people, peace, reciprocity, and positivity. Welcome to the Narrator Podcast. Welcome all my narrators. All right, so this is a live edition of the Narrator Podcast. I give you new listeners a brief overview of my content and my platform. First, before diving in, my narrators they already know what the demonstration is. They're my regular listeners. They tune in, every weekend and keep their ear out when I'm live. So they got their alerts. They follow me. So as soon as they see the light go on from the places I told them to follow me, they're on. They're listening right now. But anyway, like I said, I go give a brief overview or a synopsis for the newbies. But first, before diving into the content, I'm going to give some belated condolences. Lost another one in hip hop, rapper Big Pokey passed away on stage on his very last performance in Texas. Causes have not been revealed, and even if they did, I wouldn't do it because I don't do that on my platform. So, but we're all family here, and that's the reason why I'm sending my condolences. This is a family vibe. What I do is I deliver feel-good content. I'm not into gossiping and slandering and all that. You got to go somewhere else for that. I'm into empowering and uplifting. But anyway, so join me in a moment of silence, sending out love, light, healing energy to the family of Big Pokey. We know his government name, so you can do your Googles for his government name, but we known to the world as Big Pokey by his hip hop moniker. He was under the chopped and screwed umbrella, so only eclectic hip hop heads know. If you know, you know. If you're only listening to one region or one specific genre, you wouldn't be familiar with him, but if you're an eclectic, hip hop head, you know him, and he will be missed. So, I want to give him a moment of silence right now. All right. So, rest well, brother Pokey. Now, to go give you a brief overview of what the Narrative Podcast is about for all my new listeners. So let's start at the very top. Tippy, the name, the Narrative Podcast. Where I derived that from, what significance does it have? Well, when I started this podcast, I had noticed the media, because this was around about the time around the pandemic when I started this podcast, when we was all in lockdown and whatever. The media was just, or I noticed it, because when you can't go outside and stuff, you notice stuff, but they've always been doing this. They weave a false narrative about original people and original culture. So what I want to do, I want to design a platform where I'm correcting that, oversight. Because they weave a false narrative about our people and our culture. It's intentionally done primarily to sell news, but then also to warp the minds of the masses. They want us want to market us a certain way to a certain demographic, and thus keeping us out of certain circles. So basically, they're cranking out propaganda. They're focusing the lens on, all the negative stigmas and stereotypes and negative nuances we have within our culture. Like all, cultures have negative stereotypes, stigmas, and nuances, but, we're the ones primarily, focused on, the focal point of it. It's us 24/7, 365 all the time, just all the time with the bull. So what I want to do is I want to design a platform where I'm highlighting and showcasing us at our best and not down bad all the time as the media portrays us as down bad all the time. So that's basically what my platform is. My tagline is the Narrator Podcast, changing the narrative one episode at a time by destroying negative stereotypes about original people and original culture. How do I destroy the negative stereotypes? I provide positive frames of reference, and that's what I'll be doing this evening. After I'm done with my overview, my ultimate takeaway I want my listeners to understand from my content is how important it is to share positive content on all your platforms. Because these days, we live in the digital age, and we're looked at and observed and judged by the types of content we're posting online. People equate your content with your personality, your ideals, your belief system, your values, whatever. Your moral compass, your integrity, people judge that all, based on what you're posting online. And like I said, people outside of our culture, all they're giving about us is, negative information. They're not giving any positive frames of reference about our people and our culture. And as previously stated, it's intentionally done. So, what are people going to think if they never, was raised around us, didn't go to school with us? All they have to judge us on is just based on the frames of reference they're getting. So, what's that look like if we as a people, if we're always posting gang culture, drug culture, thought culture, pimp culture, whore culture, F-boy culture, just feeding into the negative stereotypes that they place over us. If we're always, if our post is always indicative of these negative stereotypes and stigmas that they keep on putting over us, what are they going to think about us? It's not caring about what they think about us. It's basically just setting, the record straight. It doesn't, they're generalizing us based on what the perceived norm is for our people and our culture. And like I said, all the nonsense and foolishness gets pushed towards the front. Meanwhile, the few of it, the ones of us that are, stand-up morals and have stand-up integrity, we get glazed over and you hardly notice we're there. Because they reward the foolishness. They reward, people acting like idiots online. On the male side, they want to see the pants sagging, the weapons out, the drugs on the table. Disrespecting women and elderly people, having no regard for themselves or their community. On the female side, the image they want to see. They want to see that neck rolling, that finger going. They want to see, the hoochie mama dresses and, exposing themselves, dropping it low to the floor, letting it all hang out. That's what they want to see on the female side, the negative stereotypes. Sticking their tongue out, twerking. But like I said, that's just one dimension of us that doesn't represent all of us. So who are we? We're kings and queens. We're gods and goddesses, and our content should be reflective of that. And that's what I try to make my content reflective of on my platform. I want to show us at our best. We should always be, doing our best to show us at our best. This is why I call my target audience my narrators, because we're the unique position to narrate or tell our stories. Because if history hasn't taught us anything, it's taught us this. If you don't tell your stories will be told for you. And that's exactly what the media is doing. They're telling our stories for us. They're placing all these negative stereotypes and stigmas over us and, representing us to the entire world as such, as those stereotypes. Here's these people, this is what they're about. That's what the media is doing to us. And we, we're in a unique position where we can correct that oversight online just simply by watching the content we post online, what we're sharing. Because, and another thing is, America, if you haven't figured out yet, it's not a country, it's a business. America is a business. It's a corporation. And so what do corporations do? How do they collect their data? They go online. They look at, the stats. They see what people are clicking on. They see what people are posting. And they design content or product based on their statistical research. So if we're always posting all these negative stereotypes, always embracing the negative stereotypes, they're going to create content based around, their statistical research. They're going to give us these shows, these television shows, these movies that misrepresent our people. This music that misrepresents our people. Spoiler alert, I'm going to be talking about that this evening in my commentary. All right, and so one last little bit of business before I dive into the content for this evening. I refer to our people as original people as opposed to black on my platform. Reason for that is because I believe the word original better describes us as a people as opposed to black. Our presence on this planet goes thousands and thousands and thousands of years back. Our presence on this planet predates all religious tract. Before anything was, we was. And contrary to all unpopular belief, we didn't evolve from no monkeys. We didn't evolve from no orangutans, no gorillas, no apes, no chimpanzees. Nothing in the primal family did we evolve from. We didn't crawl out of no primordial ooze. We was just here. We was just here on this planet, creating, living, thriving, teaching. And in that, our early existence, we created all. We created written language. We created spoken language. Created or originated it. We originated everything. We originated the written language. We originated spoken language. We originated mathematics. We originated science. We was the first. Now, and then along came some people who we felt sorry for, that we taught to survive. They took and kind of, or did, hijack our culture. And in doing so, they flipped the narrative. Starting with the language. They took the word, when we created the word black, we made it mean something positive. We associate all things, positive things with the word black. Wealth, power, beauty, godliness, holiness, fortune, luck, or whatever you want to call it, good fortune. It was all order. Divine order was associated with the word black. But then they flipped the narrative. They made everything mean something negative. They made it mean chaotic. They made it mean disorderly, dirty, filthy, bleak, dismal, wicked, evil, and so on and so forth. You can crack any dictionary. You can break it open, look, and you can see the word black, all the negative connotations surrounding it, all the negative sentences, giving you examples and how to use the word black. Before you come to all that, they go out of their way to make it denote, origin, a point of origin for a certain group of people, our people. And it's the only color in the dictionary that does it. So usually, in dictionaries you see black, people with a dark pigmentation, Aboriginal people descending from Africa. And it's all psychosomatic, it's all psychological warfare. From my perspective, I feel, we're acting out as a people, we're acting out their definition, not our definition. As like I said, we originated everything. We was here first. We're the inverse of their definition, but it's been programmed into us and ingrained into us to act out their definition of the word. Especially if you look at our condition here in the Americas. And right here in America, we're definitely acting out the colonizers' definition of the word black. So that's why I try to refer to our people as original as often as possible, because when you go to that same dictionary and look up the word original, there's no negative connotation surrounding original. Nothing but positivity. Original means first, and in many cases, original means best. And as previously stated, we originated everything. We started everything. Wouldn't anything exist without us? We was the precursor to everything. We originated medicine. We originated like hygiene. Nobody would be cleaning themselves properly had not been for us. We invented like soap. We invented perfume and cologne. We invented like houses, structure. People was like sleeping in caves on the floor. We invented like shelter. We taught almost every civilization on the planet how to thrive and survive on this planet. We were and are the original man and women of this planet. And it's not a slight or a diss or us trying to come across as superior. It's just actual factual fact. We was here first and we taught everybody how to do everything. Period. You're welcome, by the way. And then also, original, it also unifies us as a people because, you know, we are just so diverse. There's so many different types of us, so many different flesh tones, so many different places of origin in the world, language, dialects of languages, cultural upbringing, just different. We're all different. We're the same. We originate from the same point of origin, but we're all different. We're all scattered out throughout the globe. But the word original, you know, that's a universal, like zip tie. It binds us all together. It unifies us. Because no matter wherever you hail from in the world, you can trace your lineage back to Africa, and you possess melanin, you're an original man or original woman. No matter what pronoun you go by, you're still original. And contrary to all unpopular belief, all of us did not get to, you know, all these different corners of the globe by slavery, especially here in the Americas. So while slavery in America did happen, it was a real thing. People was getting whipped and, you know, all that, and had all that horrendous stuff happen to them. The majority of them did not come over here on slave boats. It just didn't. Majority, like in not just in America, but like everywhere, Central America, parts of Asia, Europe, they were just already thriving and existing, just already there. So we can stop that lie anytime now. But anyway, the point I wanted to make, that's the reason why I refer to our people as original as opposed to black. Went off on a little side tangent. Another thing I like to try to do on this platform is to keep everything short and sweet. You know, I try to not exceed 1 hour because I don't want to ramble. I don't want to rant. I want all my content to resonate. I want to have a nice cohesive flow, the start, middle, and the end. I don't want to just talk in circles and ramble. I want to hit all my speaking points, and I want to resonate with the listeners, and also to be respectful of their time, because I don't want you to have to clear your whole entire schedule to enjoy my content. And to leave you that, you know, as any good storyteller knows, you have to leave something for the people to look forward to next time. If I give it to you all in one segment, you know, you're not going to one, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I try to keep it short and sweet here on the Narrator podcast. So having said that, now I'm going to dive into the content. Tonight is a live edition of the Narrator podcast, and what I do here on my live editions is I just basically share positive frame of references via articles. Just good, positive articles that I come across. And the reason why I do that is because we're constantly bombarded with negativity. We're bombarded with so much negativity, we forget that positive things is going on around us. And so I want to put that positivity in the atmosphere and remind us who we are. And then after I'm done with the articles, you know, I go into a commentary, breaking news, stuff going around the world, either within our community specifically, or just, global news or what have you. Entertainment news sometimes. I try to stay away from the entertainment news because entertainment news usually leads to gossip, and that's not something I want to do. I don't like gossiping. I don't like speculating. I don't like kicking dirt on our people's names. We get enough of that from the ops, and I don't want to be the ops. So I just want to make this a family space, a feel-good space, king talk, queen talk. I want to create the healthy habit of building each other up instead of tearing each other down. So without any further ado, we're going to get into the articles on the Narrator podcast. So, So I just also want to say happy hump day to everybody. Wait, what is, it is, it is Wednesday, okay. Happy hump day, we're almost over the hump. Weekend coming up real soon. We just had a great, another spoiler alert, I'm going to be talking about, the Juneteenth weekend. For the most part, it was good. But anyway, on into the content. So, my very first article of this evening, I only got let me see how many articles. It's a super light bite tonight. I'll be diving right into my commentary right after. I think I only got I think I only got 3 articles tonight. I usually have 4 or 5 articles. I try to let them accumulate and try to just, screenshot them and take little bulleted notes. I never know what days I'm going to have free to share them. That's why it's live. It's just, a random live, but I most definitely every single weekend without fail do a full episode of the Narrator podcast, and I'll give you a brief overview of that for the new listeners if I have enough time this evening. If not, I'll just refer you to the previous episode, and you can go over my episode log and, see everything I'm talking about. But anyway, here we go. First article of the evening here on the Narrator podcast. The headline reads, Meet the 9-year-old tech wizard teaching computer hacks on TikTok. And the young brother's name is Elvis. I'm going to mess up on his last name. He is a Kenyan native. He's from Kenya. Mirchi, Mirchi. But anyway, he started posting just on March of this year, him and his sister, and they basically started off small, teaching people, the shortcut hacks on the keyboards, like the F9 buttons and all that stuff. What that stuff reveals and opens up. And as I say, I can't stress it enough. On my platform, something that I profusely stress, we need those digital skills as a people. If you don't get with the times, you're going to get left behind the times. And a whole lot of us just don't have entry-level, basic digital skills. So many of us that don't know how to send a simple email, attach, let alone an attachment. You got to know how to do that stuff now. He's 9 years old, teaching everybody. Got to know how to do a spreadsheet. You don't have to be a computer whiz, but you need to know how to do it. And there's really no excuse because you can go on YouTube and just learn something in a couple amount of minutes. But anyway, that's very impressive. Go check his TikToks out. Support that young brother. Give him his little clicks and views and whatever. Follow his story online. So join me in a warm narrative podcast round of applause. I'm not going to mess up on his last name. We're just going to call him by his first name, Elvis. Elvis, like clap it up. Let narrative podcast family, let's clap it up for Elvis, young Elvis. All right, moving right along. Next article, the headline reads, 28-year-old makes history as youngest black professor. Oh, another thing, like, even though I said I try to refer to our people on this platform as original, if I'm reading the article like I'm doing right now and it says black in the article, I'm not going to swap out the word black for original. I'm going to just read it as is. But if it's something I'm talking about out of my mouth, I'm going to try to say original man or original woman. But if it's in the article, I'm going to say black. But anyway, so 28-year-old makes history as youngest black professor to simultaneously teach at Columbia, NYU, and UCLA. And the brother's name is Dr. Eli Joseph. Only 28 years old, 3 universities. Teaching at 3 universities. Like daggone. Having a hard time chewing bubble gum and walking at the same time. This brother teaching 3 universities. Ain't that something? So his story is definitely motivational, definitely a window into all things as possible. Also, he's triumphed in the face of adversity. He got turned down to over 1,500 employers. 30 colleges shot him down, and he got denied 75 scholarships before he finally, accomplished his goal. So in addition to him being a professor, he always, what would you even call him, a triple professor? Professor? Because he's at 3 different universities. I don't know. I'm making myself sound dumb, but so he holds a doctorate for business administration, and he wrote a book titled The Perfect Rejection Resume, a reader's guide to building a career through failure. I'm gonna put a star on that one. I'm gonna check that guy out. That sounds like a good read. He also does TEDx talks. He got a series called Time is Your Biggest Competition, and No Trace, No Case. So go check his story out online. Join me in giving Dr. Eli Joseph a warm narrative podcast round of applause. And last, but certainly most not least, save the best for last. Last article of the evening on the Narrator podcast. The headline reads, A couple spent 60 years developing animated content for Black children around the world. And the duo is brother Lee Sylvian and wife Ellen O. Stewart Sullivan. And their life's work was dedicated to uplifting Black families through animated interactive content. And the name of the brand was called Afro Kids. It paired with other digital properties, including afrokids.com, which is no more. You can go to afrokids.tv. You can go on YouTube, see that. It's available on Fire Stick and I believe Kindle. Fire Stick and Kindle, I believe. Yeah, I know for sure Fire Stick. Afro Kids is on Fire Stick. But the afrokids.com, that's no more. If you go there, it'll say account suspended. So unfortunately, Lee, the husband, passed away this year, but his legacy lives on through his wife. He started out his career as an animator. You might recognize some of his work. He was teamed up with a man named Leo Sullivan. They worked on projects such as Soul Train, Scooby-Doo, Fat Albert, The Transformers, Super Friends, and The Incredible Hulk. And many more. It's spanning like 4 or 5 decades. That's his resume in animation. So everything about Afro Kids, his basic overall goal was, his mission for that was to help build Black children's self-esteem, how to respect others and themselves, and take accountability for their own actions. He was also honored by Jesse Jackson's Operation Push with the Legacy Award. That's impressive, and he got so many more accolades and so much more animated work. But definitely go check out Afro Kids, the Afro Kids projects. Share it with your children if you have any. If you're an adult, you can probably learn something. Like, can't ever limit yourself in life, because sometimes the lesson comes. What's the old saying? Out of the mouth of babes comes the truth. So, don't sleep on stuff like that, like lessons coming out of animated cartoons. And I don't care, let's fight me. The 80s was the best animated cartoon era ever. Like, we just had the best. Sorry, 90s kids. Fight me, I don't care. Ours was the best. All right, so join me in a warm narrative podcast round of applause for Mr. Lee Sullivan, R.I.P. He just passed away this year, and his wife, Evelyn. All righty, Rudy. Let's get down to it. So, delivering commentary this evening about current events. It's going to be kind of some commentary / a little. I'm gonna get a little rantish this evening. It's really going to be a part two continuation because I did do a full broadcast on Juneteenth weekend. I did a full broadcast for that, and I'm going to have to talk about the after effects of Juneteenth. So over the weekend, there was a lot of Juneteenth shootings and Juneteenth deaths all over the country. All over the country. And I gotta say, it makes me sad, but then also it makes me reflect. Like, we gotta step our leadership game up in our community. We're obviously missing the mark and dropping the ball somewhere. But having said that, I personally don't believe every single last one of those shootings was us. Now here's the part where you might call me a conspiracy theorist or whatever, but I'm gonna drop a bomb on you. If you didn't know, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Might not ever heard of this, but just keep this between us, there's a certain group of people that does not like us, and they want to kill us. I didn't know if you knew that. I'm just sharing. Now, while we can't blame every teeny tiny thing that happens within our community on these people, we definitely can't rule every teeny tiny thing out that happens in our community when it comes to these people. Because these people is diabolical. Or on social media, they're calling them folks, for the algorithm and whatnot. It's a little code word. And we've seen it time and time again. All throughout the pandemic, we were seeing, flesh-colored, Scooby-Doo masks, the different flesh tones of our people. So they go into crowded areas, they blend in, and these people, they're diabolical. They take the time to put the little prosthetics on, put the prosthetic wig on. They'll put the theatrical makeup on their arms, any exposed on their hands, on their arms, anything, exposed skin. And sure, go into a parks, pats, outlet, and just blend in, hold the wall down, get them a little corner, film at 11. And it was like that all over the nation over the weekend. The main cities was DC, Illinois, and Milwaukee. Or state, excuse me, I said cities. Well, DC is a city, but you know what I mean. Anyway, you know what I mean. But those was the major places that the shootings occurred. And I just don't believe every single shooting death was us. I don't believe that. Is some of them us? Yeah. So also the narrative that we got to address is no such thing as black on black crime. When you put crime in any neighborhood, it's just crime. It's like white crime happens in white neighborhoods, Asian crime happens in Asian neighborhoods, so on and so forth. Why does it seem like it's only us? Why does it seem like we don't know how to cohabitate peacefully amongst each other? Why does it seem like, we're killing each other in disproportionate numbers? Because it's supposed to seem like that. That's the media's job, to keep on constantly bombarding you with crime in our neighborhoods. Do you notice they never say nothing about, white crime in white neighborhoods? They never say nothing about Asian crime in Asian neighborhoods. They never say anything about Spanish crime in Spanish neighborhoods. It ain't because the crime doesn't happen. It's because they want the focal points to be on our neighborhoods. They don't like us. They don't want us here. And why don't they like us and they want us here? Because damn, some people just can't handle being around greatness. It's a sad fact of life. When somebody don't feel the greatest about themselves, they stand next to somebody so accomplished, so just naturally talented, vibrant, magnetic. If you don't have your confidence level up, you feel like crap sitting next to a person like that. If your confidence level isn't up, and we ain't trying to be nobody better than anybody, we're just trying to just be. We're just trying to exist. And our fault's just everything that comes out of our mouth is smoother than butter. It's not our fault, we just so spectacular. What's that old ad? Don't hate me because I'm beautiful. But yeah, people hate us because we're beautiful, man. And they'll go through any lengths to, give us a negative image, to give us a pass up off this physical realm, off this physical plane. That's just how much they despise us. I know that might seem like a conspiracy theory to somebody. I got conspiracy theory music. If you don't like that one, I got this one. I think I'm gonna rock with this one. All right, I'm done. But anyway, yeah. So it's not a conspiracy. It's just like, it's facts. It's reality. They will go through no lengths, no end to wipe this out. That's not out of the realm of possibility for them people, them folks to do that. So some of the shooting deaths was us. Like, we know us. Like, even when nobody says nothing, we know when we did it. We know when we did it. But if it's like some shots rang out, everybody was running, nobody seen nobody enter and exit, nobody saw nothing, nobody knows nothing, then that's probably not us. We do got some hearted killers in our community. Some people that really know how to do surgical hits and leave no witnesses and leave no evidence, but primarily the bulk of us don't do that. So when nobody saw nothing, nobody knows anything, that's usually not us. No suspects, nobody saw nothing, nobody knows nothing, usually not us. Speaking of us, we got to send out love, light, and healing energy to our brother, John Amos. He is, going through some medical hardships right now. We just had Father's Day, and he was like our first, well, not our first, but I would say our most impactful, one of our most impactful visual representation of a strong father. Like when you tuned in to Good Times, during his run, when he was on that show, and mind you, I grew up after it was like long after long after it was off the air, long after the syndicated reruns, like we was on like, it was still the reruns, but it was just like, it didn't come on like every single day during the weekday. I think it was like Sundays. We would watch Good Times and the throwback episodes of like a few other shows, but he was his character was, strong and masculine, and he stood for his principles and morals and belief systems. The character James didn't have all the answers, but, he knew how to control his house, and he instilled his character. I don't want to get it confused with the actual person in the character, but I think the actual person added some dimension to the character and made the character believable. But that's definitely something we needed to see in those times. And, send, all positivity and prayers his way, and, just keep him in your consciousness so that he pulls through, what he's going through. Shout out brother Willie B of the Ghetto Boys. He went all the way out there to see about our brother. So, shout out Willie B. Shoot. What else is going on out here in these streets? Yeah, I think I got to talk about it, didn't I? Didn't I say that about what else about Juneteenth? Is it just me? Or does it seem like our people, like we can't have nothing? Bro, we can't have nothing. And it's not that, like out of all the people on the planet, I think our people is the most giving, sharing people on the planet, but we should have something of ours, just genuinely of ours without having to share the spotlight with somebody. And it seems like, to me, so I was sitting thinking about it, because didn't it just seem like, pride kind of overtook Juneteenth, like every single all the celebrations around the world. They had, banners with the 5-letter community and the colors say, "We are in support of Juneteenth." Who's we? We who? What we? Are we speaking French? Oui, ooh la la, oui. What we? We who? Who's the we? I'm saying though, like every single thing we come up with, it's like, another entity gotta attach itself to it. Like we can't have any organic movements just specifically for us. Now with the Juneteenth thing, like if you know the history, I'm not going to break that down for you. Like we live in the Google era, like, do your research on Juneteenth, but we know why we celebrate it. We know why we celebrate it. And in that community, and this is like, I'm not saying we don't love our brothers and sisters, living that alternative lifestyle. That's their business. But we do know that there is a divide in that community. So when I see banners saying we are in support of Juneteenth, who the hell is the we? That's what I'm saying. And why is it attached to something for us? Why is we attached to us? Like every single time. Like, and another kind of movie is BIPOC. You know what I mean? Like we can't get any traction unless we, pair up with East Indian, Spanish brothers and sisters. Like if we unite with them, we can't, you know what I'm saying? We can't get no traction on our own. We can't just like stand alone and get momentum. And not saying that we are not in support of them communities and we don't love them communities. We love them. Y'all are us. As stated previously, like they are us anyway. But like, cause we the original man and woman, you dig? We've been on every corner of the globe, but at the same time, why can't we have just something just for us? Why? Why can't we? Everybody else got something just for them. Why can't we just have something just for us? Without our movements getting derailed by the we. By this little mysterious we. In Hollywood, the we. Literature, the we. We just keeps on attaching itself to us. Film, we. Television, we. I don't know about y'all, but I'm just getting sick and damn tired of this we. We in support of Juneteenth. If we don't set we down somewhere, but that's just my little spiel on that. I just found it real like trippy. That is just like universal across the board that them people keep on trying to speak for us by saying we. Like just trying to dictate, what we should feel, trying to manipulate our emotions, tell us what to be angry about, like how we should feel, like us, like our people, like how we should feel, who we should move with, move against, vote for, you know, like let us just leave us alone and let us figure it out. Can we get some breathing space from the we? Damn, do we gotta get a restraining order against them we to make them leave us alone? You know what I'm trying to say, like these we's, they need to get on somewhere. Well, that's it for my commentary. I guess that's just was my only big gripe for this evening. So it was a super light bites this evening, so I actually got enough time to run through my format before leaving up out of here this evening. So as stated, like I broadcast every single weekend without fail, a full broadcast of the Narrator podcast. So when you tune in this weekend, you know, here's how it's going to be set up. So first up, I got it broken down into sections. Each section has a speaking point, and I describe each section as I come to them. I try to time each section. I try not to exceed 4 minutes on each section. Because like I said, I don't want my broadcast to exceed an hour. I want my content to be, you know, just real concise and want to flow nicely and be cohesive. And I don't want to also shoot over people's heads. Like, I know I'm smart. You know, by listening to me, I've got some type of little intelligence to me, something. I wouldn't say I'm a genius or nothing like that, but, you know, I know what I'm talking about. I know my stuff, so, you know. But at the same time, I don't want to alienate anybody and, you know, just shoot over people's heads. I just want to include everybody and put the knowledge out there and make it accessible and make it streamlined and, you know, short and sweet and to the point. So having said that, my first section in the Narrator podcast, when you tune in to listen, it'll be the promo section. In the promo section, what I'm doing is I'm giving original men and original women that own and operate their own businesses the opportunity to reach out to me for free publicity to promote their business product or service, and to keep in stride with my time deadline goal for this evening. You can see my previously recorded episodes to get that information. I'm not going to share the information tonight. You can just, you know, go to my last, you know, episode of the Narrator podcast to figure out how to get the free promotion. And the reason why I'm doing that is to help do my part to circulate the original people dollar within the original people community by letting my people be aware of some new businesses to patronize. And so, like, when you hit me up, be specific as possible about your business product or service. The more details that you give me, the better I can plug your business product or service. So be specific and detail oriented as possible when you hit me up. All right, so second section is the contest section. And the contest section is basically like an incentive reward slash incentive to tune into my content. I'm basically like giving away a prize for participating in the content, and the content I want you to participate in, of course, is the podcast. I want you to listen to it, share it, all that. Oh yeah, that will be a perfect segue for a shameless plug. So download this episode of the Narrator Podcast and all previously recorded episodes of the Narrator Podcast. Thank you very much. But anyway, the contest section, I'm giving you a bulk supply of your favorite snack food item for participating in the topic of the contest. And the contest topic is share your most recent shopping while black experience. And when you do so, I give you a bulk supply of your favorite snack food item. And again, to, get the full details on how to enter the Chew on This contest, see my previously recorded episode for the specifics on how to do that. All right, and then my next section is actually like I would say the basis of the podcast, where everything kind of centers around. The first two was just the like warm up section, but here's the actual glue of the podcast, the highlight section. And what I'm doing in the highlight section is I'm highlighting businesses owned and operated by original men and women. The purpose of the highlight section is to, get the listeners to patronize a business, and also to put out the positive frame of reference about entrepreneurialism. And the reason why I'm doing that, because we don't have many frames of reference about entrepreneurialism. The very few references we have about that on television is tainted with dysfunction by the television producers to draw you into for the ratings. So it's like, yeah, there are entrepreneurs on TV, but there's all this dysfunction around the TV show. They're fighting, they're calling each other names, they're backstabbing each other. They just they be in these like posh 4 and 5-star restaurants, squaring up with each other and, doing collateral damage, like injuring innocent people as well as themselves on television, all for ratings, all for entertainment. And so meanwhile though, all them people featured on these shows are 4 and 5 figure wealthy people with an entourage underneath them. Like they have like several businesses that they run. They take care of communities, families. They putting like 8 or 9 different families through college. But like I said, the dysfunction drowns all that out. Because we tune in just to see them fighting each other and cursing each other out. But here on the Narrator Podcast, I take that element away and just give you the positive frame of reference about an entrepreneur that started from the bottom and developed a successful business. In the highlight section, what I'm doing is I'm walking you through their entire journey as an entrepreneur, from like the developmental phase of their business, like how they came up with the name, if it's food, like how they came up with the recipe, if you know what I mean? Just like the developmental stages of whatever it is they're selling, all the way up until, you know, the product that they have now. And the types of people that I highlight in the highlight section, the majority of them, they weren't college educated. They didn't have little to any vocational skills training in whatever product that they're selling. You know, it was all just trial and error. There's a few that did have an intensive collegiate background and very well learned, but didn't necessarily, you know, their skill set didn't necessarily align up with, you know, what they're selling now. But their path changed. A whole lot of them also once were in corporate America earning a comfortable 5-6 figure salary a year, but they left corporate America to work for themselves, to take a gamble on themselves, so they can just be on their own time and help their family and help their community, which is a perfect segue into my other qualifying factors for the highlight section. So the qualifying factors for the highlight section, the businesses that I highlight in that section, they're original people owned and operated. They either have their own nonprofit organization or they pay into one. They have some type of community outreach program going on. You know, they're taking care of the community, facilitating the community's needs. And many of them are, you know, family owned and operated. So that then I'm giving you an example of generational wealth. So family structure, like passing it on for the new generation to continue on the legacy. And then my last qualifying factor is that they align up with my theme. And my current theme is the season of summer. So all the businesses featured in the highlight section, they'll align up with the season of summer. Or yeah, it'll be like, you know, the first thought that enters a person's mind or my mind that I equate summer with. Like, oh, every summer I see people buy this or I see people do this. All right, so my next section is the spotlight section. And in the spotlight section, what I'm doing is I'm spotlighting a prominent figure within our community. It's usually in the entertainment industry. So like the types of people that I spotlight are entertainers, actors, actresses, athletes, comedians, recording artists, public figures, YouTubers, TikTokers, religious figures, just basically anybody with a public platform and with a polarizing effect on our culture in a positive way. So, you know, some other qualifying factors for the spotlight: they give back to the community, of course. They give us, do some type of community outreach, some type of political activism, social activism, climate, something positive, something spiritual, something motivational, some type of charity, giving back, you know, feeding the homeless, feeding the hungry, doing something for those of us, our people that are disenfranchised. Or just, you know, their aura, the way they carry and conduct themselves as a person. So we can have that positive visual frame of reference about, you know, what we should look like. That visual inclusion. And then not for nothing, I created the way for spotlighting. Because before I added a spotlight section to my podcast, the Narrator podcast, nobody on the internet, TV, YouTube, TikTok, wherever, anywhere you was getting your podcast from was spotlighting anybody. Until I did it on my podcast, the Narrator podcast. Because when you go to talk shows, podcasts, when they announce their guests, today we'll be spotlighting this person, that person, da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, nobody was doing that. Me, I did that. But the reason why I did that is to create the healthy habit of speaking positively about your brother or your sister instead of, using your digital platform to slander or lie or denigrate your brother and your sister publicly. We are the only people that publicly shame each other in using our digital platforms to publicly shame each other. We're the only people that do that. Nobody else does that but us. And the big reason why we do that is because the powers that be incentivize that type of behavior. Like it's $1 billion a year industry into making us look bad. Like they'll pay top dollar for, all these gossip networks, all these gossip mongers, the clicks and the views. They pay them top dollar for that, but, for intelligent content, for, things that has integrity behind it, meaning, purpose, depth, intelligence, that gets pushed to the back burner. But the foolishness gets pushed up in front of us. That's what the major corporations want to pay people for, is the foolishness. But we're living in a digital age, and if you're intelligent enough and if you're clever enough, you can parlay a nice little reality for yourself, a nice little chunk of change with positive content. And that's what I'm pushing on the spotlight section, is how to say something positive about your brother and sister. And earn some money while doing it, but create the healthy habit of celebrating your brother and sister instead of dragging them through the mud, instead of going on their Instagram, instead of going on their Twitter or whatever and talking negative and, side-eyeing them and negative emojis and all that. Like, we don't need a place for that. We don't need a place for it. But I see the trends catching on. I see so many people doing it now, spotlight sections. So as the old saying goes, imitation is the best form of flattery. Color me flattered, because so many people are doing it. Nobody was doing it before I started it. So I started the way for spotlighting me, your brother, on the Narrator podcast. Halsey Allen, gotta make some noise for me.
To the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.
In a real way. All right. So after the spotlight section, I transitioned over into the health and wellness section. In the health and wellness section, what I'm doing is I'm giving tips. Health and wellness tips. Self-explanatory is just how I like it sounds. Health and wellness. I'm giving tips about total body health and wellness for my people. And the purpose of me doing that is because my people are the most attacked people. And if you don't believe that there's an inherent plot to get rid of this, I don't know what world you're living in, but you're not living in the real world. They're literally putting things in our air, in our food, and, common things that we use every single day that genetically harms our unique cellular structure, specifically targeted against us, our people. So what I'm doing in the health and wellness section is I'm giving tips to armor up in all the areas that we're being attacked. And all the areas that we're being attacked is physically, mentally, and spiritually. So for example, on the physical side of it, you'll usually hear the health benefits of a fruit, a vegetable, a plant, an herb, an extract, a root that you can ingest or apply topically to improve your health. Or some type of physical exercise that you can perform to improve your health and vitality. Mentally, some types of tips I give that keep you in good mental health. Might give you something like, some type of meditative practice, mindful breathing, just things to keep your mental straight. Maybe a good book reading, mental exercise so you can do to maintain your mental health. Spiritual practices is the type of tips I will be giving you spiritual examples of, such as praying, meditating, manifesting, all types of spiritual practices. I might throw a wild card in there from time to time, such as divine law, quantum law, manifesting, just all types of different spiritual practices, different types of spirituality. But those are the types of tips you will hear from me in the health and wellness tip. So, all those tips are geared towards my people. Anybody from any different nationality, background, ethnicity is free to listen. But just know all the content here on the Narrator Podcast is geared towards my people, but especially in the health and wellness section. While we are, one race, one human race, but whatever, we have, differences, cultural differences. We have different dietetic needs. We have different emotional and mental triggers. It's cultural differences. So that's another misnomer that the powers that be tries to lay on us, is be like, we're all the same. No, we're not. We all have different unique needs. So I supply our people's needs. There's things dietetically you can include in your diet every single day and you'll be just fine. But if I eat a little bit of that culturally, that'll mess me up big time. And vice versa. There are certain types of weather I can enjoy that you can't enjoy. And vice versa. So, as like I said, all the tips here on the Narrative Podcast is geared towards my people. After the health and wellness section, I transitioned into a section I call the speaking section, which is basically what I did tonight. It's just commentary. I deliver commentary on breaking news, current events, things happening globally, or specifically within our community. And the reason I do that, as I said earlier, if you don't tell your story will be told for you. So what I'm doing in the speaking point of the day is I'm telling our story. I'm unpacking it from our perspective, showing it, focusing it through our lens, rather than the powers that be, because they'll go out of their way to have us looking and sounding crazy. So I just, I unpack it and I give it to us raw from our perspective. In the event, if I don't have any current events to talk about, any type of commentary, breaking news commentary, I might hit you with a PSA in that situation. And the PSA is just basically an observation about our people, something we need to work on as a people, self-included, and many times self especially, because I be the main one violating. But yeah. That's what you'll be looking for in the speaking point of the day. And in the last section, I close out with the final thought or the final word. I kind of flip back and forth between some weeks is final thought, some weeks is final word. I don't know, just whatever the mood feels like it. But what that is basically like something philosophical, something deep, something that'll resonate with you, something that will inspire and promote critical thinking, make you say, I never thought about it like that. Or be like, oh, yo, that's deep. That's what that is, the final gem, pearl of wisdom, whatever you want to call it, a nugget. So I guess a nugget, short and sweet. Gotta remember my own rule, it's a nugget of wisdom. All right. So that's it. I walked you through the entirety of the Narrator podcast, a full episode, what that will entail. And this episode most definitely is a wrap. Thank you for listening this evening to the Narrative podcast. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thanks everybody for supporting. Remember to download this episode and our previously recorded episodes of the Narrative podcast. Also, I go live during the weekday, so listen to me regularly wherever you get your podcast from, so you don't miss me when I go live, like I'm broadcasting live right now. To avoid missing me when I go live, follow me on YouTube, Halsey Allen. It's just the viewer channel, Halsey Allen. Click the subscription button, notification bell, and you will never miss an episode of the Narrator podcast that way. Or follow me on Twitter, Halsey Allen. So I stay good at Halsey Allen on Twitter. And you will never miss me when I go live. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll always get a fresh live broadcast of the Narrative podcast. But definitely hit me up every single weekend for full broadcast of the Narrative podcast. Also support my book that I wrote. I wrote a book of poetry titled The Black Card. And you can purchase the Black Card by visiting the Poetizer bookstore on poetizer.com and purchase my book. I use my own name for the pen name, Halsey Allen, by Halsey Allen. It's titled The Black Card, and basically it's like 30 poems of an experience, our experience as, Black people. The Black Card. I know I said on my platform, I refer to our people as original people, but I wrote that book before I had that epiphany about the power of words. So, you know, I kind of changed a little bit since I've written that book. But definitely go purchase it. It'll make a great coffee table read. Good gift idea. Graduation season is happening right now. That'll make a good graduation gift. Good travel book. You know, you can read it on the airplane. You can, if you're going somewhere, like on a beach, you can read it on the beach, at home. You know, it's good. It's like a really good creative book. Go check that out. The Black Card, 30 poems, like encompassing the whole Black experience with 30 witty poems. You'll love it. Go hit that up right now. The Black Card on Poetizer.com, inside the Poetizer bookstore on Poetizer.com. Purchase the Black Card today or get your Black Card revoked. I also got a poetry blog, my own personal poetry blog on blogger.com. The address is www.mrhallziesblogs.com, and it's called Halsey's Poetry Corner. It's a collection of my own personal poetry. I think I got about 200 pieces on there. They're all really good, creative pieces. I wrote them all in the moment. Haven't done any new entries in quite a while, but just rest assured, just because I don't post them on there doesn't mean I'm not writing poems. Like, you don't even know how many notebooks I go through a week. Like, I literally gotta delete stuff off my device because I keep a notepad on my device and entries on my device plus notebooks every single week. So I write poems is what I'm saying. I also do the spoken word too, so I'm working on a project to showcase that, but definitely support my poetry on Hallzies Poetry Corner. And the address is Hallzies Poetry Corner at www.mrhallziesblog.com. And the way you support is basically go to that link and share it on your preferred platform. You share it on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Snapchat, whatever you're active on, Zoom, whatever you're active on, share a poem from Hallzies Poetry Corner to it. Either just share the link or, give a brother a drop. Be like, hey, go check out Hallzies Poetry Corner. And that's it. That's it and that's all. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll let you guys enjoy your evening. Make sure you tune in this weekend to join me for a full broadcast of the Narrator podcast. That's it. That's all. I'm out of here last year, sending you love, light, and healing energy. Peace, family. Halsey Allen and the Narrative Podcast signing off. And it's like that.
make it burn. I'ma make it burn. Yeah, got a little bit of gasoline. I'ma make it burn. 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 You are now listening to the Narrative Podcast with Halsey Allen. The Narrative Podcast is changing the narrative one episode at a time.